What's up, people? Welcome back to Glen's Reviews, and tonight we're going to be taking a look at a cheesy yet adequate horror flick that my dad rented for us from a VHS rental store back in 1992 alongside the amazing Army of Darkness. But tonight we're going to be taking a look at a movie called Salvage, directed by Tucker Johnston in 1990. A guy who also directed a little erotic thriller called Secret Games 3, which I may or may not have seen when I was going through puberty on my dad's DirecTV account back in the early 2000s. Sorry, Dad. Well, now you know. Which is a little bit odd because Secret Games 3 and Blood Salvage are the only two movies to this guy's credit. So is it a bad movie? Does it stack up? Does it hold up? Well, let's take a look. But I have a little story to go with this movie before we really get into the nitty-gritty of the story of this movie. The synapse, if you will. Now, like I said, my dad rented this from a VHS rental store, Rexall Drug, I think it was, in a nearby town where we lived. And he rented it with Army of Darkness. So we watched Blood Salvage first, and I think we kind of enjoyed it. I think my dad liked it somewhat. I don't know what my mom thought about it, but I couldn't remember that part of it. But once we saw Army of Darkness, it made that movie, as well as every other horror movie, irrelevant immediately, because that's when I fell in love with Evil Dead, and I was obsessed with that movie and that franchise for years. I didn't think anything would top it, even though I really did love the Romero zombie movies for a number of years, and I thought those were always kind of like the gold standard of horror movies, the George Romero stuff, but
groovy.
Anyway, this movie would lay dormant in my mind for years to come. 30 years to be precise, and I just remember bits and pieces of it, but I knew I wanted to see this movie again. I remember having the conversations with my dad. He couldn't remember the name of it, and I couldn't either all these years later, which led me down a little bit of a rabbit hole, and it led me to a lot of discussions on Reddit and other horror forums about what this movie was. Like, it's a guy who was keeping people alive with car parts, and he had a girl locked in his place, and I just had vague memories of it, so I couldn't really explain it all that well, and everyone was just like, you're fucking nuts, the movie doesn't exist, you're just a raving fucking lunatic, stop watching horror movies and go get yourself a real job. I do have a real job. I work at a factory, so kind of hits me right here when people say that. No, it doesn't. I don't care. But for years, I thought it was called Graveyard Salvage because that's what my dad thought it was. I think that's what he remembered back in the day. Graveyard Savage, I think he called it. And I think I even corrected him back then. All these years later, I couldn't even remember the fucking name until it led me to a German DVD called Mad Jake, which ultimately led me to the actual name of the movie when it was released over here, Blood Salvage. It was at least 2 months of bullshit, like just trying to talk to people and figure out what the fucking name of the movie was, but I did it, and I got the movie, well, not at the time, but I found out where to watch it so I could actually watch it again and write a script and review it for all you dear viewers. I mean, this movie and the physical releases of this movie are kind of an anomaly in itself, but I'm just gonna get into the synapse and the story of the movie so we can move along, and I'll get to all the weird shit later. Blood Salvage, directed by Tucker Johnston, like I said, in 1990, and it's your standard unknowingly and unsuspecting family on vacation in the middle of nowhere who get lured into a trap of unimaginable horror by a psychotic, overly religious, homicidal family story. In vein of Texas Chainsaw Massacre or The Hills Have Eyes. Only in this one, it follows the story of old Mad Jake Pruitt and his two moronic hillbilly sons who run a salvage yard and auto repair shop, but wait! There's more! They're also doing something sinister behind the scenes and also pretty impossible. Old Jake's been keeping people alive on makeshift hospital equipment comprised of car parts and harvesting their body parts and organs for sale on the black market. But wait! There's even more! Jake's also been stalking the Evans family, primarily their 17-year-old handicapped daughter April because she looks identical to his dead wife he lost years earlier. And Jake's big plan with her is to make her walk again since
I can do things doctors can't.
Yeah, but how? He's a fucking car mechanic, and it shows him operating on people with a book. I'm pretty sure Michael Bay looked at this to have a blueprint for his Ninja Turtles movie, because they all became karate and kung fu masters just by Splinter reading a book and teaching that to his kids. You can't be a master of something just by looking at a fucking book you got from St. Vincent's. Alright, well, my own dad was a car mechanic for 30 plus years, right? And it took him most of his youth to learn all this stuff, right? It all takes time. And then he ended up having a family, me, my sister, my older sister that he adopted, paying attention to my mom, his wife. He also would do other things, like he built an addition onto our house, so he learned how to do carpentry and electrician kind of shit. That all takes time. Now, if you look at Mad Jake here, he's got all the same things my dad had. He's got the salvage yard, the family, he had to pay attention to all that stuff, he had to learn all that stuff. But you mean to tell me that somewhere along the lines, he learned how to perfectly put people together and operate on them, and even make makeshift mechanical engines and stuff to keep people alive while their parts are removed so he could sell their parts. Where's the time to do all that shit? How? There's no fucking way. You have to kind of suspend your disbelief and just kind of enjoy the movie for what it is. It's still a lot of fun.
Are you sure about that?
Well, what's even more crazy is, like, what was his plan after making April walk? Did he automatically think that she was just gonna fall in love with him just because he gave her the power of walking again after she lost it? I mean, you killed her fucking family, dude. Well, not right away, but it was a slow progression into killing her family. I mean, the boy's fucked. The kid. They usually don't kill kids in movies either, which was really weird and surreal seeing this, even back then. I mean, the kid's dead. Like, he took the spinal fluid out of the kid to give to her, and then later on you see his fucking head in a goddamn jar. The dad's fucked, you know, so it's like, what were you expecting, man? You really think she was gonna love you after that? Either that, or maybe he was just hoping Stockholm Syndrome would kick in, you know, and that would take care of everything. Well, old Jake was successful in making April walk, but not so successful in wooing her, and he also wasn't so successful in surviving the movie altogether. Well, what is my verdict on Blood Salvage? I give it a very strong B+. I'm very happy to have seen this movie after 30 years. It's like a bucket list movie for me, kind of like Day of the Triffids, where my dad would rent something or just had it sitting in his VHS collection, and I remember vague things about it, but not everything. So I really wanted to like go back and watch it and absorb it and be able to like put it behind me. And this actually isn't that bad of a movie. It's kind of sad that it fell into film obscurity and that near nobody even remembers it or even talks about it. I mean, it's gory and gruesome and insane enough and self-aware that it doesn't take itself too seriously. And the setting of a salvage yard helps set it apart from movies like Texas Chainsaw Massacre, so it doesn't fall into the cliche kind of area of that movie. And I do have to say the performances by Danny Nelson as the slimy, gross, sadistic Jake and Laurie Birdsong as the headstrong, unyielding April are pretty great to say the least. You know, what's really crazy is that A Nightmare on Elm Street's own John Saxon was in this movie playing April's father, Cliff, and Ray Walston was also in this movie as the guy who is buying the parts for the black market to give to other people. I mean, like, bigger actors were in this movie. Just kind of weird that no one remembers it. And we have to talk about Evander Holyfield. What the fuck was he doing in this movie? Well, that led me down a bigger rabbit hole, and there's some things that I didn't even learn until I was actually going over this movie with my good buddy Jeff when we were doing something for Tingler Television.
Fuck. Bunch of goddamn comments.
The Evander Holyfield scene, you could have easily cut that from the movie and you wouldn't have lost anything. If anything, Evander Holyfield being in this movie makes it age really badly, because there's not a whole lot of people nowadays that are actually going to remember who Evander Holyfield was. Like, people my age, close to 40, or Jeff's age, 35, they'll remember him, you know, but only if you really pay attention to boxing and shit, right? And it boggled my fucking mind. I could not understand it until Jeff came over and we filmed our video for Tingler, and I was looking through information on my phone, and one article popped up, an interview with Tucker Johnston. Evander Holyfield helped fund this fucking movie to help get it made. There's my answer. His pointless fucking scene stayed in the movie because he funded it. Ugh. Which leads me to my next case. This movie is not that easy to get a hold of, and it's actually very expensive. I think it fell into public domain, but I'm not entirely sure on that. I went out and got the VHS copy of Blood Salvage, and it wasn't cheap. These usually go for about 50 to 80 bucks on eBay because they just don't exist anymore. And I got a pretty pristine copy of this movie. I got it for 30 bucks. It's the cheapest I could find it, right? But I'm still glad you can get this movie on DVD, even though it wasn't released in DVD here in the States. But you can get the German release, which is called Mad Jake, which, yes, I did purchase, and I paid $60 for this from Germany just so I could have Mad Jake uncut on a DVD when I could watch it for free.
You out of your fucking mind?
But dude, it's a cute little German steel, well, not kind of steel book, but it's a nonsensical book type thing. Got the Mad Jake DVD, but there's a little book in here, and it just tells you a story about the meaning of the word hillbilly and what they mean in horror. And it says 2-disc special edition on the back here, but disc 2 is actually an entirely separate movie, not special features.
You got fucked!
Do I feel robbed? No, I still like that I have it. But the thing is, if you look at the movie and how tragic it was in Jake's eyes, I mean, he was technically trying to marry a minor, which is pretty gross, even that one rapey scene, you know. But if you want to, like, name the movie properly, you should just call it Blood Salvage, The Ballad of Mad Jake. And, like, they left the movie open to where the retarded kid was gonna rebuild his dad.
Don't worry, Dee. I'm a special person. I can do anything I want to do. And I'm gonna fix you back up.
Dude, Michael Bay could have been involved in the sequel to this fucking movie. It would have been fucking genius. I wish there was a sequel to Blood Salvage, where the retarded kid rebuilt his dad with car parts. He could have been like fucking Jake in his prime. Mad Jake could have been rebuilt as like a Decepticon. But if anything good came from this movie, it is one of the best meme laughs I've ever heard, which I'm going to start using in all of my videos from here on out. I've talked about Blood Salvage more than I probably want to at this point, because I already did this review for Mistress Peace Theater because I had to get that video out the door as quick as I could. And then I filmed the video with Jeff, and now I'm re-recording this review with everything I wanted to say for all of you guys. So I don't think I'll be talking about Blood Salvage again anytime soon. But I'm happy I got to film this for you guys. I'm happy that it's another one I can put behind me just like Day of the Triffids. And it's another one for my dad. Harkening back to the good old days of video rental stores. I love you, Dad. And I love all you guys. And that is all the time I have left for this episode of Glen's Reviews. I hope you enjoyed yourselves in this one. I got some good bloopers coming up after this. You guys all stay metal. I love you guys. I'll see you next time, whatever video that happens to be. See you guys. What's up, people? Welcome back to Glen's Reviews, where we talk about anything that's horror related, and you know the rest. No, I'm gonna redo that. Directed. Oh man, I'm not off to a good start. Does this movie hold up? Does it? Which ultimately led me to my next clue. Shit. You know, shit. How can I fuck this up when I already went over all these points like twice already? And I'm re-recording it now, like, god damn it. Shit! Fucking shit! I actually have to take a shit right now, and it's bugging my stomach. I really gotta take a dump. I hate doing this in the middle of a fucking video.